estate investor who's
Sorry.
Hi, it's Glenn from the Wealthy Landlord. Are you a real estate investor who's considering filing for bankruptcy or has filed for bankruptcy? It's important to weigh the potential risks and benefits carefully. Bankruptcy can provide a fresh start, but it can also have a significant impact on your financial future. I'm very excited, and it's an honor to have an expert, Vera McCoy, joining us today. Welcome, Vera.
Hi, Glenn. It's an honor to be here with you and your Wealthy Landlord business. I love it.
Thank you very much. Now, Vera McCoy is a U.S. attorney, investor, podcaster, has her own podcast, and a serial entrepreneur. She obtained her BA from Rutgers University with honors. She's graduated from Rutgers Law School and became a member of the New Jersey State Bar. Congratulations. Her first business venture was the Real McCoy Daycare Center and Nursery School. I love the name. And she did that with her mother. During that time, she opened and operated the daycare, and her mother also owned real estate. After the Real McCoy closed, Vera decided to start her own law firm. Once again, she is reinventing herself, starting and developing two real estate firms in 2019. One is the Royal Velvet Investments, and the other is Success Housing Solutions, where success is the only option. I love that as well. She's also has a podcast named Financial First Aid, and it's aimed at encouraging and motivating entrepreneurs who have or are contemplating filing bankruptcy and helping countless other numbers of clients navigate the legal system through bankruptcy. Having had the experience of bankruptcy herself, she knows if you're an entrepreneur, you must see bankruptcy as a fresh new beginning and not the end of your journey. That's so important. Welcome, Vera. It's great to see you today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to share with us a little bit about your passions with your companies? Because you wear so many hats, you do so many things.
Do so many things. I'm pulled in different places at different times, but yes, I will. The Royal Velvet Investments is mostly centered in Ohio. I'm looking to grow that more. Success Housing Solutions is more centered in New Jersey. That's where I live at. And not so sure about how much I'm going to be working on that, but it's still there for now. And I'm working on really scaling down my law practice, and that's kind of the impetus for the financial first aid piece, working with entrepreneurs that have been through bankruptcy, or as you said in the introduction, contemplating it. There's so much stigma and shame associated with it, and that's kind of the first part of the program that I've developed with Financial First Aid, to work with kind of like the mindset of someone who's kind of been through that, because on some levels that can be a traumatic type of situation. You kind of feel like a failure, you feel like a little defeated, and your biggest question is, okay, do I still want to do my business? Do I still want to be an entrepreneur? And I work at trying to get the entrepreneur through that and get to on the other side of it, where they're thinking in terms of, what, this is a fresh start. I'm not going to let my past dictate my future. And come on, let's keep it moving. We got to look forward looking, because I mean, if you look at some of the most wealthy people and some of the most people that have been, famous, they've gone through financial difficulties. Someone like a Henry Ford, I think he filed 3 or 4 times, till he got it right. I won't say I'm on the level of a Henry Ford, but I've been through it, so I kind of know how that feels. And for the first few months, even if sometimes some people, have that stigma kind of with them for years, that's something that you really need to work on, your mindset. And that really is for any entrepreneur. The mindset piece is very important, because being an entrepreneur really requires a great deal of resilience. You really need to have that determination, perseverance. Hey, listen, I fell down. I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep walking.
Yeah, there's a saying that I just love, and fall down 7 times and get up 8.
There you go.
And
Absolutely.
absolutely, success is just a lot of little failures.
Yes.
And as you said, that's so important, is just moving past that. Myself, I experienced bankruptcy, just getting into properties and that as well, many, many years ago, 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
And yeah, the embarrassment is there, and some challenging times. And it was, a lot of it was fueled from going through a divorce.
Right.
And it just, there's always ups and downs in life. There's
Hmm.
not just one smooth path as much as we would like it,
Yes.
but there are challenges, and
Yes.
there's going to be challenges. It's just a matter of recognizing them, and as you said, it's so important, just moving forward.
Yep. And it's like you said, 20, 30 years, that was the person you were then. And for me it's been about that same amount of time, about 20 something years. And when you look back on it, you have to think like, okay, that was something that I needed to learn from. Let me figure out how to use it in a way that, what, I'm not going to put myself in that position again.
Yes, so many times I stop when there's a situation, and you're just getting so frustrated, and I just stop and I ask myself, okay, what's the lesson here?
There you
What am
go.
I learning from this situation? And it
Perfect.
just kind of grounds me, and then I can look at it in a different light.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love listening to your podcast, Financial First Aid,
Thank you.
and get so much value from the guests and episodes and the interviews.
Thank you.
And what for those people that are trying to, or sorry, investors or
Hmm.
business owners that
Hmm.
are trying to maybe improve their credit rating, what
Hmm.
advice could you give to them, or what are a few secrets or tips that you could pass along to help them improve their credit rating?
Thank you for that question. That's a really good one. Um, when you first start out, or if you've already been in business, for a while, your objective should be to really get away from using your personal information, to establish your credit. Like whatever your personal, credit rating is what it is. But the next step on your journey, once you get your business started, is to work hard on getting, your own company established as a separate entity, as from you. So the advice that I would give a person that's really trying to establish their business credit is just make application for different lines of credit using your business, whether it be, just like a $1,500 credit card, at maybe a Home Depot's or a Lowe's or something like that, but just continuously using your business and its own tax ID number to get yourself established so that you can really separate yourself from your business. Yeah, that's really important for people to do that.
That makes total sense, absolutely. And asset protection is vital.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I recall after the bankruptcy,
Hmm.
ended up getting a secured credit card
Right.
just to
That would
just to
help.
try to move forward there.
Yeah.
And actually, I purchased a couple properties, myself and my wife,
Hmm.
and we purchased one of them with it was a bungalow, and it was 39,500, so 39.5. We
Hmm.
used our line of credit to
There you
purchase
go.
it,
Yep.
and then we a month and a half later we mortgaged that property for 64,000.
Wow.
So
Wonderful.
paid off the line of credit,
Right.
and so basically it was a no money down deal.
There you go.
And
Wonderful.
so there's lots of those out there for the real estate investors too. There's always money available. It's just a matter of finding it and being creative.
Yes, absolutely. And I think more so when you kind of get into the investing piece, you
Yes.
learn different kind of like techniques and tactics that you can use, especially when it comes to real estate. Because there's always somebody out there that will, well, I shouldn't say always, but for the most part, there are people out there that you can find, that you can work with, as you said, that will, provide you with the financing that you need. You just have to be creative with doing it.
Absolutely, 100%. And now I'd like to talk a little bit more about your podcast.
Oh, great.
And yeah, very much so. As we can see in the background there, it's Financial First Aid.
Yep.
And number one, how do they contact you or listen? How do they reach out, or how do they even listen to your podcast episodes?
Well, I'm working on getting it uploaded to more platforms, but right now you can hear it on Spotify. I believe it's on Apple Podcasts as well. Just look for Financial First Aid. The way that it's spelled is a little differently. It's financial and then just the number one, ST Aid. And so it's a little different. I think there's another one out there that spells out the whole word. So mine is Financial First Aid. You can listen to it on Spotify. You can listen to it on um, like I said, Apple Podcast. I do believe you can also listen to it on a couple of other platforms, Stitcher maybe, and um, it may be on Apple. I'm sorry, not Apple, iHeart as well. It gets kind of varied because it's not up there at the top of the list with all the popular ones. But yeah, I love to get guests on that have gone through bankruptcy, that are entrepreneurs, and the thing that I love about it the most is most of them are now successful, just as yourself. They've gone through that and now they're on the other side of it, and they
Yes.
can just look back and say, hey, wow, if I had not pursued this after the bankruptcy, like if I got stuck, because I mean they're doing great, and that's what the podcast hopefully is really getting people to feel not proud about it, but feel comfortable about it and know that on the other side of your quote unquote failure, there's going to be greater success. And you will have learned, from that experience, okay, what do I do to make sure that I have a buffer so that I don't fall into that situation again? Because there's all kind of reason why people, file, like you just said, was a divorce for you. Some people, it's, they have medical issues or health issues, or some people have relatives who have health issues or whatever. So there's different reasons for doing it, but just don't let it stop you on your journey towards entrepreneurship and being successful.
Right. Do you find, are there any common, there's so many reasons, but are there any common threads that you find are consistent with bankruptcies?
Mostly the people that I've had as clients, and as
Yeah.
well as some of the people that I've interviewed. The real common thread, I think, for most of the people is just wanting to maintain. A lot of them wanting to maintain what they have. You
Yes.
can do a chapter 7 and still keep your house or keep your car, that kind of thing. And so I think people, once they realize that it's not the be all and end all, and it's not, tragic when you do it, because a lot of people think that they're like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to hold on. But what I think they fail to see is that trying to hold on many times can be worse than going ahead and filing the bankruptcy and getting it over with. It's like, stop the bleeding already, you're just bleeding money, and it's like, it makes no sense. My hope is that doing the podcast does not encourage people to be kind of shady about it. I don't
No.
really care for the ones that are like, well, I'm just gonna just build up a whole bunch of debt and then I'm gonna file. It's like, that's not the purpose behind it. You know what I mean? The purpose behind it is for you to move forward and to do better and get off to a fresh start.
Absolutely. And it's all about morals and values. Absolutely,
That's
100%.
right. Yes, indeed.
Now, with your law firm, what law type of law do you practice?
Well,
What do you?
I do bankruptcy, as you said, and I
Okay.
also do
Yeah.
real estate work. So, people, buyers or sellers will come to me, and ask me to do their closings for them. And basically what I'll do is I'll start the process with them from the beginning to the end, reviewing their contract, sometimes drafting a contract, making sure whichever side of the transaction I'm on, whether it be buyer or seller, that that person is going to be protected, and then carrying it out to the end, which is getting them to the closing table and signing off on the documents and making sure that they're protected. That's what I'm hoping that I'm doing, making sure that they're protected.
And
That's
that's
the goal.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
goal.
And
Uh,
having your client's interests in mind, it's worth its weight in gold. And to
yeah.
have that expertise and knowledge, and just people relying, because you are so valuable. And I know our real estate lawyer here, my wife actually, they've been with Ian Rustall here for about 35 years.
Right.
So it's been a long time. And then when I came into the picture, used Ian for a lot of the real estate transactions. So somebody in your position is invaluable.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I wish all my clients felt like that.
Absolutely. Um, any words of wisdom for those that are, I know we talked about a little bit, but whether they're considering or not considering, I guess is just exploring those options that you had mentioned, and just maybe assessing where to stop the bleeding and maybe not.
Right. That's a good question too, because matter of fact, it's funny. Yesterday, I was just speaking to somebody about, whether or not she should file, and
Mhm.
there's a couple of factors that go into it. Now I know you're in Canada, so I'm not quite familiar with Canadian law in terms of bankruptcy, but here in the U.S., there's cutoff numbers, so you have to have a certain amount of debt in order to file at all. So that's
Yes.
number one. That's the number one criteria. And then the second criteria is whether or not you filed recently. That's what I'm saying, those serial filers. You don't want to be a serial filer. There's
No.
kind of a restriction on that. I believe the cutoff is 6 years or 5 years. I don't remember right now off the top of my head, but there is a time frame where if you filed before, you can't file immediately again. And then there's also the types of bankruptcy that you might want to consider
Yes.
filing. If you have a business here in the U.S., you would want to do a Chapter 11. That's to reorganize your business and hopefully to keep it open. I mean, in some situations, you do have to liquidate, sell everything, and really kind of start from ground zero. But then there are
Yes.
other situations where you can actually, reorganize, restructure, your debts and that kind of thing, and then move on. And then Chapter 13 is similar in terms of restructuring and reorganizing your debt, but that's more on a personal level. And then Chapter 7 is where you just basically get rid of all of your debt. And as I said before, you can hold on to some of your assets if that's what you choose to do. And that kind of depends on where you're at financially. Hopefully, you're in a position that you have a job and you're able to hold on to your home and your car and some of the assets that are just like necessity assets.
Absolutely. That just makes so much sense. So basically, as well, if you're a real estate investor who's considering filing for bankruptcy, I know it's really important they speak with an attorney like
Oh,
yourself,
definitely. Yeah.
just to find out the specific implications
Hmm.
and assess their situation, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Because unfortunately, for some people who are investors, it may
Hmm.
come down to them having to sell some of their assets. So you really do want to, weigh all your options before you just go jump, right into it. You need to be sure that you're very clear when you talk to your attorney about it. Okay, these are the implications. This is what could happen. This is what may happen. Kind of know all of that before you actually file.
Makes total sense. Yep, absolutely. I appreciate the expert information. So I know you love closer to the end and closing out this one question. So give me one thing to share with the listeners that would educate, motivate, and inspire those watching this video.
Uh-oh, you're putting me on the hot seat. Okay. Let's see. Well, educate. Let's just kind of, I guess, revisit what we were just talking about.
Absolutely.
Make sure that if you're going to file bankruptcy, or if you're going to invest, or if you're going to open a business, any of those things, just be sure you do your due diligence. It's great to have an idea, but make sure that the idea can translate into being something that you can monetize. And I'm learning how to do that better myself with the whole financial first aid piece. So I'm trying to take my own advice. I'm learning to kind of work through more of what you need to do in order to be successful at actually being a podcaster, and trying to work through helping coaching people and those kinds of things. So I'm working at getting better at that. But that would be the one thing that I would say in terms of education. Just try to learn as much as you can about whatever it is your idea is, and how you can make it monetize, how it can make money. Because if you're a real estate investor and you love to do renovations, but you haven't figured out how to make money at it, you love to fix and flip, then maybe you need to take a minute and learn a little bit more about it. And just do what you need to do to be sure that you can learn, because every day I feel like I'm learning something. So in terms of education, just learn as much as you can about whatever it is that whatever is your passion, really. uh,
Yes, Warren Buffett always said as well that the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. So,
Absolutely.
and that
Absolutely.
learning. Wise
um,
words of wisdom. Okay,
yes,
go ahead.
indeed. And to inspire, my thing is, I would love everybody to realize like their value.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be, successful at your job. You can have a 9 to 5, but be the best 9 to 5 person at your job that you can be. And then if you find out it's really not, you're not a good fit, then try becoming an entrepreneur. My inspiration has really been, my father. He was an entrepreneur. He had his own business, and I've been fortunate that I've been able to, work for myself pretty much all of my life. And that's, you know, been, I don't know, I guess just something that is kind of an innate thing for me. I don't fit very well in those square holes. I'm a round peg, and I don't fit in the square holes. So, and that's the other thing, to inspire people is to it's hard because some people, they really want to do something different. They don't like their jobs, but like I said, you have to make sure that you can monetize. So
Yes.
I hope that when people listen to the podcast, and people talk to other people who are entrepreneurs, that will inspire them to say, okay, well, I can try that. I can try that. And motivation is like, you really have to get yourself up sometimes to keep moving forward on what you do. Sometimes you have to really motivate yourself. It's hard. I'm not going to say it's easy, but just really keeping I think your eyes set on whatever your goal is. I think that should be your motivation. And if your goal is to, some people, their goal is to have, retire their parents. Some people is to have their own comfortable retirement. Some people, their motivation is their children. Everybody kind of has something different that motivates them. But to motivate yourself, you just need to, if you can keep yourself focused on what that ultimate goal is, I think that should keep you motivated.
I love it. Mindset and focus absolutely get you where you want to go at your destination every
Yes,
time.
indeed.
Perfect. I just wanted to, before we go, Vera, I
Yes.
just want to know, how can people actually contact you? So on a couple things, either one, again, for your podcast, just a reminder for everybody, and then
Hmm.
also as an attorney, where you're located, how do they contact you? If they need help, whether it's closing a sale, purchasing a property, or just, advice there,
Hmm.
how do they contact you?
They can get in touch with me at my email address, which is
Okay.
msvmesq@gmail.com. That's pretty simple. msvmesq@gmail.com. And then for anyone who would like to do a podcast with me, and I would love all comers, because even though the podcast is encouraging for people who are bankrupt or have gone through bankruptcy, I also have many entrepreneurs on that are just entrepreneurs, and they've explained to me what their journey is, and I really enjoy that because that does motivate people. So for that, they can go to V McCoy, ESQ, at financialfirstaid.com, and that's financial, the number one, ST dash aid.com.
That is fantastic. Thank you very much, Vera. I'm graced with your presence, and that was just tons of value for all the listeners today.
I
And
hope so.
really appreciate it. And we'll talk real soon. So
I
you
hope
have a
so.
wonderful day. Thank you very much.
You do the same. Thank you.